Water is the foundation of life. But for one incredibly rare golden metal, water is the ultimate enemy. If even a single drop of rain or the invisible moisture in the air you breathe touches its surface, it violently explodes. But its explosive temper is not its darkest secret. Decades ago, a tiny heavy capsule containing this very element was cracked open in an abandoned building. Inside was a glowing blue powder. It looked like magic. The people who found it were fascinated. They took it home. They rubbed it on their skin. They showed it to their children. They had no idea they had just brought a silent killer into their living rooms. Within days, their bodies began to break down from the inside out. What is this beautiful, terrifying metal? And how did something so deadly become the hidden heartbeat of our modern world? In September 1987, two men were scavenging for scrap metal in the ruins of an abandoned hospital in Brazil. Deep inside the rubble, they found a strange, heavy machine. Thinking it might contain valuable parts, they dragged it home in a wheelbarrow and forced it open. Inside the machine was a heavy lead block, and inside that block was a small capsule. When they finally pierced the capsule, they saw something that defied logic. The dark, it emitted a mesmerizing ethereal blue light. It didn't burn, wasn't electricity. It looked like crushed, glowing stars. Fascinated, they sold the heavy metal to a local scrapyard owner named Dever. Dever was captivated by the beautiful blue glow. He brought the capsule into his living room and invited his friends and neighbors to witness the miracle. He rubbed the glowing dust on his wife's skin. His brother took a shimmering fragment home to his 6-year-old daughter, Leda. Fascinated by the magic dust, the little girl rubbed it onto her face and hands. Sitting on the floor, her fingers still glowing in the dark, she ate a sandwich. She was unknowingly swallowing pure destruction. This glowing powder was a highly radioactive, mutated version of our element, known as Cesium-137. Within hours, the illusion of magic shattered. The people who touched the powder began experiencing violent nausea. Their skin burned and blistered. Their hair fell out in clumps. When they rushed to the hospital, doctors were completely baffled. This was no virus. It was an invisible fire burning them from the inside out. By the time the government realized what was happening, the dust had spread across the city on people's shoes, clothes, and hands. Entire neighborhoods had to be bulldozed. Leda, the little girl who ate the sandwich, died in agony just days later. Her body was so radioactive that she had to be buried in a solid lead coffin sealed shut with thick concrete just to protect the soil from her remains. All of this death, pain, and panic came from a single ounce of glowing cesium. But as terrifying as the Brazilian disaster was, those victims at least saw the blue light before it killed them. Halfway across the world, another family never saw it coming. For them, cesium was completely invisible. In 1980, a family moved into a brand new apartment building in a Soviet city called Kramatorsk. It was supposed to be a happy, fresh start, but almost immediately, a dark shadow fell over the home. The 18-year-old daughter suddenly grew weak. She developed bruises, her hair fell out, and she died shortly after. Doctors blamed a sudden case of leukemia, a tragic but random medical event. But a year later, her 16-year-old brother developed the exact same illness. He died too. Then their mother succumbed to the same mysterious sickness. The locals began to whisper. They said the apartment was haunted. They believed the family was cursed by a demon. Terrified and grieving, the surviving father moved out and a new family moved in. But the curse did not leave. The new family's teenage boy immediately started getting sick. Desperate for answers, his father demanded a full investigation. When an expert finally walked into the apartment with a radiation detector, the machine started screaming. The clicking sound was frantic, deafening. The expert slowly followed the invisible signal into the boy's bedroom. The radiation was radiating directly from the solid concrete wall, right next to where the children slept. Authorities ripped the wall apart. Deep inside the concrete, they found a tiny metal cylinder. It was no larger than a grain of rice. It was a capsule of radioactive cesium. Years earlier, this tiny device had been used in an industrial gauge at a nearby rock quarry. It had fallen out, got lost in the gravel, and was accidentally mixed into the wet cement used to build the apartment complex. For nearly a decade, this microscopic speck of cesium had been silently shooting deadly radiation into the bodies of anyone who slept on the other side of the wall. A silent, invisible assassin hidden in the very foundation of their home. Before it became a nightmare of the nuclear age, cesium was a ghost. In the year 1860, two German scientists, Robert Bunsen and Gustav Kirchhoff, were hunting for hidden elements. They weren't digging in deep mines. Instead, they took tens of thousands of liters of mineral water from a famous healing spa and slowly boiled it all away. They were looking for secrets left behind in the salt. To find them, they used a brand new invention that captured the light of burning materials and split it into colors, like a fiery prism. When they burned the mysterious salt they had extracted, something incredible happened. They saw two brilliant, piercing lines of blue light glowing in the dark. It was a fingerprint of something entirely new, something that had never been seen by human eyes. They named it Cesium, from the ancient Latin word Cesius, meaning heavenly, blue. But the name is a beautiful lie. In its pure, natural form, Cesium is not blue at all. It is actually a visual marvel. Out of all the metals in the universe, it is one of only three, alongside gold and copper, that is not gray or silver. Pure Cesium is a stunning, pale gold. It is also incredibly strange to the touch. It is softer than warm wax, and it has a melting point so low that on a warm summer day, it naturally turns into a liquid. If you held a piece of pure solid cesium, your natural body heat would melt it right in the palm of your hand. But you must never, ever touch it, because behind that beautiful golden exterior, cesium is holding back pure gas. It is widely considered the most reactive metal on planet Earth. It hates water with a violent, unnatural fury. If you drop a piece of iron in water, it rusts over years. If you drop a tiny piece of pure cesium into a glass of water, it detonates in less than a second. It rips the water molecules apart, generates intense heat, and explodes in a blinding flash of purple fire, instantly shattering the glass. It doesn't even need a glass of water. If you expose pure cesium to the open air, the microscopic, invisible moisture floating in the room is enough to make it instantly catch fire. Because of this terrifying temper, pure cesium cannot exist in nature, must be trapped. Scientists are forced to lock this beautiful metal inside thick glass tubes filled with inert gas just to stop it from declaring war on the atmosphere. It is a metal that is desperate to self-destruct. Because of its violent, explosive temper, you might think cesium is useless. Just a dangerous chemical curiosity best left locked away in a dark laboratory. But you would be wrong. In fact, you are relying on this volatile golden metal right now. In the hidden corners of science, this element has earned a chilling, yet perfect identity, the metal of borrowed time. Why? Because cesium is the invisible heartbeat of the modern world. Deep inside highly secured, temperature-controlled vaults around the globe, tiny atoms of pure cesium are kept in absolute isolation. Inside these machines, the atoms naturally vibrate at a speed that is almost impossible for the human brain to comprehend, over 9 billion times every single second. It never slows down. It never speeds up. This perfect, eternal vibration is used to create the most precise timekeeping devices in the universe, atomic clocks. Cesium literally defines what a second is, and without it, our modern world would instantly collapse. GPS satellites would go blind. Military drones would lose their targets. The global internet would crash. Every cell phone, every airplane, and every major financial transaction relies on the exact, unchanging pulse of cesium. It holds the fragile web of human technology together. It keeps our time. But there is a dark, tragic irony to this element. That is why we call it the metal of borrowed time. Because while natural cesium organizes our future, its mutated, radioactive twin, Cesium-137, steals time away. Cesium-137 is a byproduct of human ambition. It is born inside the extreme, violent heat of nuclear reactors. And when things go wrong, this invisible time thief is released into the world. When Reactor 4 exploded at Chernobyl, and when the tsunami flooded Fukushima, they didn't just release radiation. They released massive clouds of radioactive cesium. It fell from the sky like silent, invisible snow. Because it mimics nutrients that plants need, the poison soil eagerly absorbs. It enters the roots, travels into the crops, and eventually into the food chain. It has a half-life of 30 years, meaning once it enters the earth, it stays there, ticking like a slow, silent clock, poisoning generations. It is the ultimate paradox. The exact same element that allows humanity to navigate the future has the power to guarantee we never live to see it. We trust the world around us. We trust the seconds on our clocks, the maps on our phones, and the ground beneath our feet. But hidden just out of sight, locked behind thick glass, buried inside heavy lead, and entombed beneath poured concrete, lies a metal that refuses to be tamed. Cesium is the ultimate paradox of nature. It is named for the heavenly blue light it casts, yet it hides behind a mask of beautiful, pale gold. It is soft enough to melt in the warmth of a human hand, but violent enough to explode at the mere touch of rain. It is the silent architect of our modern time and the glowing ghost that haunts our darkest disasters. It is a chilling reminder that the elements building our world do not care about us. They follow their own violent, beautiful rules. Chemistry is not just a list of letters and numbers in a dusty textbook. It is a collection of the darkest, strangest, and most dangerous stories on Earth. If you are fascinated by the hidden mysteries of our universe, do not step into the dark alone. Subscribe to the channel now to uncover more secrets of the elements. And if you want to discover the terrifying true story of another invisible killer hiding in plain sight, click the video on your screen right now. The story is far from over.